Hello, friends and clients of JLW Immigration Law Group. I am Jennifer Walker-Gate here today with a video about our top 10 tips for filling out Form I-765. Form I-765 is the application that an immigrant files for a work authorization document, employment authorization document, work permit, EAD, all of those terms apply to what you get when you file Form I-765, and it is successful. So it's a big deal. Form I-765 is really, really important, and I want to make sure that y'all have the best possible information about how to complete it. Now, I am not going to go in this video through every single question on the form and answer and tell you how to answer. That would not be possible. So I'm going to take a high-level view and give you my top 10 tips for generally understanding what you need to know about this. So before we do that, I want you to take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. JLW Immigration Law Group is a fully 100% women-owned and women-led law firm in Austin, Texas, where we are doing our little part to serve the immigrant community and help immigrants in the United States get the status that they deserve. We want you to have the best possible information, and we provide these updates on YouTube every week with our channel. So please make sure that you hit subscribe and share the channel with anyone that you think can benefit from the information that we have here. So take a second, so hit subscribe. Let's dive into our topic. So Form I-765 is, like I said, the application that you get work authorization in the United States. It results in you getting a little document with your photograph on it, with your USCIS A number, which unfortunately stands for alien number. It's your file number. It's your individual number code with USCIS and with all of Department of Homeland Security. So it is a really big deal. Number 10 on this list is go to uscis.gov/I-765, where you will find the form, you will find a bunch of information, familiarize yourself with that information, and especially pay attention to the filing fees, how to file online. If you're able to file online, it is really advantageous to you as an applicant to be able to do that. So highly recommended, but if you can't, on that website, you can download the application itself, and there's a lot of information on there that you are going to need to know about how to fill this form out. When I first started practicing immigration law in 2005, Form I-765 was 1 page. Now it is 7 pages. Over the years, it has grown and grown and grown and grown and continued to get longer. And there is a lot more information on there that you need to know. The instructions for Form I-765, 27 pages long. There is a lot of information in there, and a lot of it you're not going to need or necessarily understand. However, there is some really, really important critical stuff in there. So it's important at least to know where it is and have it at hand so that you can begin to search the instruction information for the information that applies to you in your case. So tip number 10, go to uscis.gov/I-765, where you can find the information that you need to get started. Number 9, there is a question on the form. Under part 2, it is question number 13. It asks if you want the Social Security Administration to send you a Social Security number. Now, first of all, it's really important to know whether you yourself have ever been issued a Social Security number. The only Social Security number that counts for this purpose is one that is officially yours, was issued to you as an individual and not to somebody else. It's not one that you're using, that it belongs to someone else. It is your number. If you have one of those already, you can answer no, question 13. You don't need another one. It doesn't matter why or how you got that one before. Some people were eligible to get them many years ago, even if they didn't have immigration status. So there are a number of immigrants who still don't have their residency or things like that, but they do have a valid Social Security number that was issued to them as a person. A Social Security number is a separate matter from immigration, but on this new edition of Form I-765, someone who is applying for a work permit can ask for a Social Security number to be issued to them at the same time. If you authorize this and you consent to USCIS sharing your information, they will request the Social Security Administration to kick out a card to you just on the basis of having this work permit approved. Now, be aware that even if you select yes, to this question. Even if you tell USCIS, yes, please request a social security number for me, it may not get. We have seen a number of cases where this happens, this process works perfectly smoothly. Somebody gets their work permit, Social Security sends their social security card, it's no problem. It saves that person who gets that social security card a separate trip to the Social Security office, which takes an entire day out of their life at least to request the social security card after they get the work permit. However, sometimes USCIS, for whatever reason that we do not know, does not issue or does not request properly complete that request for the person's social security number to get issued. So we have seen a number of clients get their cards. We know for sure that we requested the social security number for them as well. They've never had one issued. It should be issued, no problem. But it is. And if after a couple of weeks after your card comes in, if you still don't have that social security number, then it is going to be best for you to take your card and go over to the social security office, because not only is your work permit required, your social security number is required also for most employers to be able to hire you. And so unfortunately, it doesn't work 100% of the time. However, it is worth asking for it if it works as it is supposed to. And again, I wish I could tell you the rhyme or reason behind why it works sometimes and not others. We have not been able to figure that out. But if it does work, it can save you a great deal of time and hassle going to get your social security card. It allows you to begin working almost as soon as you get your work permit card. Sometimes the card for social security comes in a couple days later. Up to 2 weeks is what I would say is a reasonable amount of time to wait for your social security card to come in after your work permit is issued. But if after 2 weeks it hasn't come in, then I think it's worth going ahead and making a trip to that social security office to get that next most crucial part of your work authorization and your ability to get your life done in the United States. Those social security numbers are so that's tip number 9. Tip number 8. Looking at part 2, number 27, it is a category. If you look at part 2, question number 27, you will see 3 little empty boxes. What goes in those boxes is a code, and the code consists of 1 letter and 1 number. So as you see, in almost every single case, there will be 1 empty box left over when you're done filling in your code, okay? The eligibility codes that apply to work permits are critically important. If you do not select the correct code for your case, you will not be issued a card. They will deny your application or even reject it upon receiving it if that code is not filled in correctly. Now, if you go into the instructions, you will see that there are pages and pages and pages of different codes for different kinds of applicants. I won't have time in this video to go through all of those. It is going to be incumbent upon you to understand what your category is and how to fill in those boxes. Some common codes are C9. C9 is the code for someone who is applying for adjustment of status. If you have an application for adjustment of status on Form I-485, then the code and category for your work permit that goes with that application is C9. So you would look at those 3 empty boxes on part 2, number 27, and you would write C in one, 9 in another, and leave the third one blank. Another common code is for DACA. If you have DACA, your code is C33. So again, you would write C in one box, 33 in the other, leave the third one blank. If you have a pending asylum application, your code is C5. So C in one box, 5 in another, third box blank. If you have been approved for asylum and you are waiting for your opportunity to apply for your residency and you need a new work permit, your code is going to be A5. A5. If you're applying for TPS, your code might be A12 or C19. TPS applicants have 2 separate codes that they can use. C19 is one, A12 is the other. If you have deferred action because you've been approved for special immigrant juvenile status, your code is C14. If you have been approved for VAWA, your code is C31. It's a lot of information and a little confusing. It is important to understand what your category is, what kind of case you have. A work permit can never, ever be filed. An application can never be granted apropos of nothing. You have to have some other status. You have to have some other kind of application. You have to have something else approved, some underlying other application, an H-1B visa, some other kind of work visa, or another basis under law upon which you can apply for work authorization. You can't just simply submit an application for a work permit and expect it to be approved. It won't be. You have to have a category, and the categories are extensive, and you're going to need to look at those instructions to understand what those are, or ask an attorney. Next tip. Part 1. Let's back up on this application to the very first question. The very first question on part 1 of this form wants to know, what is your reason for filing this application? It is so important to indicate the right reason. If you don't, your application will be rejected or denied. Is this a first-time initial application? Is this a replacement because your card was lost or destroyed or damaged, or there's an error on your card, okay? Or is this a renewal? Is this a card where you had a card and your first one is expiring and you need to renew it? These 3 reasons are the reasons that you can expect to answer correctly on one of those, but you're going to have to pick one and only one. And if it's not correct, don't expect your application to be approved. On the replacement for a card that has an error, if that error was the fault of USCIS, you don't have to pay a filing fee and you don't need to submit Form I-765. If you got a work permit and USCIS misspelled your name, wrote your birth date wrong, something like that, and you have the original application and you know that you did it correctly and they had a typo, does happen, then you don't have to file Form I-765. You do need to send that card back to them, though, with a letter that says, you guys messed up, please fix it. And you have to send it to the service center or field office that issued your card in the first place. So don't submit Form I-765 if you are replacing your card due to USCIS error. If it was your own error or your attorney's error, hopefully not, but we are human, these things do happen, then you do need to submit Form I-765 and a fee and submit that per the instructions. Tip number, was that 7-6? I'm not sure. I'm losing track, guys. I'm so sorry. Part 2, number 20, request your date of birth. This is another thing that is really important, because just as I was just saying, if your card's issued with an error, you're going to have a hard time getting a social security number. You're going to have a hard time using it to get your driver's license, because they're going to want to compare those cards to your original documents. And if things don't match up, they're not going to want to help you. So it's really important to make sure that all your information submitted is correct. So part 2, number 20, asks for your date of birth. We frequently see people from all over the world who write their dates in a format that everybody in the world uses except for the United States. And that is putting the day first and then the month. In the United States, we put the month first and then the day. It's backwards, I know, but it's really important to pay attention to this, because if you do it backwards, or the way that would be correct in your country, then USCIS can screw up your date of birth. And then that messes everything up and you have to start over from the beginning. So please, this tip is make sure that your date of birth is written in the correct format, where you have month, then day, then year. So it should be 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 4 for the year. The next tip here is to answer the questions about your most recent arrival using information that you can find from your passport. Okay, if you entered with a visa to the United States, you can check your passport to get all your passport number and the type of visa that you entered with. It might say H-1B, it might say B-1, B-2, it might say H-2A, it might say H-2B. All of those little codes and stuff are going to be in your visa. Now, if you're a person who entered without a visa, but you do have another basis for requesting work authorization, like DACA, or you're applying for adjustment of status through 245I, or whatever the reason may be that you're requesting a work authorization, then you can write none or NA in that box for your status at arrival, as well as current immigration status. Writing that you didn't have immigration status when you came into the country, or that you don't have any right now, is not going to make you ineligible for the work permit. What might make you ineligible for the work permit, and this takes me to the next point, And this is going to be number 2. So we've gone through from 10 down to 2 now. The next point is tell the truth. Tell the truth on all of the questions. It is not going to make you ineligible for your work permit if you didn't have status when you entered, but what might make you ineligible is lying about it, writing something that's incorrect, writing something that doesn't jive with the records that they already have with you. So please, please, please make sure to answer correctly and truthfully on all of these so that you're not denied over some, mistake where you were afraid to tell them the truth when they already understand what the deal is. So it's okay to put none or NA in that box, won't hurt you. And my final number 1 tip for Form I-765 is ask an attorney for help if you don't feel sure. Again, I-765, if it's denied, it's really not likely to end you up in deportation proceedings. In our experience, USCIS doesn't turn people over to ICE when their Form I-765 gets denied. Okay, it just doesn't. However, this is still part of your record. It's still going to be part of your permanent record. If at some point USCIS decides to look back through your file and they find information on a Form I-765 that is incorrect, and I have seen this happen, people go to a notary or somebody who promises them a work permit and then files a fraudulent I-765 application, that can really come back and bite you later. In addition, you don't want to lose the time that it takes to get the correct document in your hands. Everybody who comes to the United States, almost everybody, wants to be able to work lawfully in the United States. And most of us require an employment authorization document to be able to do that. So you don't want to lose the time that it takes to get it. It does take a long time. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of money, and you don't want to lose all that because you answered something incorrectly on your form. So it is worth paying for a consultation at the very least to have an attorney help you understand what the questions are asking and what might be the best answer. Now, some attorneys don't want to answer questions about forms because if you're not handling an entire case, it is not always comfortable to tell someone how to answer on a particular form. Some state laws won't allow attorneys to answer questions about a form unless they have taken on representation in the whole case. And it varies individual by individual, whether an attorney feels comfortable helping someone fill out a form or not. At JLW Immigration Law Group, we are happy to help our clients understand how to answer questions on forms. We may need to give sort of generalized information, but we are always happy to consult with applicants who are filing on their own to help them understand, what it is that they need to provide in support of their application. We want everyone who is in the United States that we can possibly help to be able to get good, high quality, trustworthy information. So if you need help with your form, with your application, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are happy to help. You can contact us online at jlw.law. On our website, you can click on a button to schedule an appointment directly on our calendars, and we would be happy to help. You can also call us at 512-633-1785, and our team will be happy to help get you scheduled for a consultation. If we can help, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have 5 fabulous attorneys in our office, and we are all here to help and do our little part for the immigrant community. So please reach out to us. Let us help you. And with that, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you again. Take care.